A good night of Shabbos, everyone. Baruch Shechiyanu v'kimanu v'giyanu l'zman hazeh. To once again share with the Olam this special segment called For the Shabbos Table. And it is made possible by a grant from the Rubin family. And they should be Zeicha to a Ben Zacha this year, and Hashem should give them all their requests for the good. We also, as all of us, have our mind on our Yidden that are fighting for the safety of Eretz Yisrael in the Gaza, very, very dangerous, and all around Eretz Yisrael, looking for infiltrators. We have in mind for the people that are wounded, that they should recover as best as possible. The hostages should be redeemed, okay, and all of our brethren in Eretz Yisrael should have an easy Shabbos, and no missiles shot at them, and we should be able to restore peace to the land and peace of mind to all our brothers and sisters. I always say that it amazes me that when I start Bereshis in a short amount of time, I see things that I haven't seen in 40 years of learning. I mean, I know only a tip of the yam of what there is in the Torah to know. It's ein chekelis v'nasei. But even so we know that Hashem made an Ezer Kenegdai, a partner for man, and together they could do wonderful things. Ish v'isha, shalom beinehem, shchina shruya beinehem. If they create a peaceful, harmonious relationship, they bring shchina into the home, which of course is the greatest happiness. So it's very interesting. I never knew this. In the Sefer Noah Dirish shares it. It's so interesting that Adam is Bigematria 45. That's easy. Aleph is 1, Dalet is 4, there's 5, and then Mem is 40, is 45. And what's Chava? Chava is Ches, is 8, Vav is 6, so that's 14, and Hey is 5, is 19. You know what the difference between 45 and 19 is? What's between them? 26. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Because Isha Shalom Beinehem, if there's Shalom between them, Shchina Shriya Beinehem, the Shchina is between them. So if Adam 45 and Chava, the representative of man and woman, have Shalom, then 26 is between them, Yud Kei Vav Kei. I thought it was a really remarkable idea. The Be'er Shabbos takes the pasuk of Leitov Hayosa Adam Levadai. It's not good for man to be alone. The Baba Varevis said that's the only place the Torah says that Hashem says Leitov, because it's not good for man to be alone. You know, the Rabbeinu Ephraim, one of the Rishonim, says that Hashem took Hatzela, the rib. He says Hatzela, that was converted into the woman. Hatzela is the same words as Le'etza, for cancel. Because the Gemara tells us you should ask your wife counsel. You know, she has your best in mind in a good marriage. It's a gutza. The Gemara says even if your wife is short, gochin v'lachishla, bend down and whisper to her and take advice. And that's why hatzela is le'etza. But it's also ha'otzel, because if a man is alone, then he's just going to be lazy. There's nothing there to push him. But the Be'er HaShabbos takes this pasuk and learns great musar from it. Lo toiv hayosa adam levadai. And he dashens it as follows. Lo toiv. If a person is experiencing lo yaleinu, things that are not good, they're not feeling well, they're having business problems, car problems, house problems, they're having problems, then the recommended plan of action is Hayois Ha'adam Levadai. You should go be somewhere alone and meditate and contemplate your actions. Like the Gemara says, Imraya Adam Shiyasurin Barnalav, if a person sees that they're suffering, it's not a mikra, it's not a coincidence. Yefash veish b'maisav, let them look through their deeds. So if things are loy taiv, heyoisa Adam levadai. A person should be on his own and think, what am I doing wrong? It happens to be, it's a good time in the beginning of the year, there's a minig kadmain, an ancient minig, called Asiri B'Kodesh, to count from the day after Yom Kippur and count every 10 days. And the 10th day you should circle it in red on your calendar, and that's holy. You should learn extra, you should daven better, we should give tzedakah, we should do nice things for our spouse. Asiri B'Kodesh, of course, it's based on the idea that every 10th animal from the corral is declared holy. When we have a minyan, it is holiness, right? That's when it has a level of holiness, a level of kedusha. So the next, if you count from Yom Kippur 10 days, the next 10th day is this coming Sunday. This coming Sunday is Asiri B'Kodesh. So it's a good thing. On that day, you make up that you'll make a little bit extra cheshbon hanefesh. It's a beautiful minhag. And of course, when we think about perfecting ourselves, we should know that whenever we go in the middle way, when we're balanced and not extreme, is always good. And I saw a Moedik remes for this. You know, Leiv, our hearts, the letters before Lamed Beis in the alphabet are Aleph and Chaf. That's Ach. And the Gemara says, Ach L'mayit is to limit. The letters after Leiv are Mem and Gimel. That's Gam. It says Gam L'Rabbis. So Ach is less, Gam is more, and Leiv is in the middle. The middle way, the Derech HaEmtza, the Shvil Hazov, the Rambam calls, the way of balance. Like I said, the tallest finger is the middle finger, the shortest fingers are the thumb and the pinky. The tallest way is the middle road, and the shortest ways are extremes. It says, Adam levadai. It's not good for man to be alone. We know that a woman makes in the morning the bracha of Sha'asani Kirtzainai, that I was made in the way that Hashem wants. Why doesn't a man say that? Sha'asani Kirtzainai. Why does only a woman say that? So Rabbeinu Bachya says a very interesting pshat. Rabbeinu Bachya says that when Hashem made man, he took counsel, so to speak, in his Pamalya Shamala, in his heavenly retinue, and asked them, and some said yes, some said no. So it wasn't only made kiritzono. He took, so to speak, counsel to tell us that we should take even from our lessons counsel. But it wasn't asani kiritzono. But when he made a woman, he just said himself, I will make Eza connected. So the woman was made kiritzainai. That's what the Rabbeinu Bachya says. Another fact is it's not good for man to be alone. So when man was created, it wasn't the way Hashem wanted it. It's not good for man to be alone. So you can't say Shasani Kirtzaina on that which is not good. And therefore we just say Shalayasani Isha. The Vilna Gaon says a word which I think is very important to think about. B'marava Imre, this is Sheva Brachas Torah, but it's good Torah for always. B'marava Imre, in the West they would say to a chassan matzah or motzeh. Is it matzah isha matzah toiv, or is it motzeh ani es isha mar memavis? A good wife is matzah isha matzah tov, and a shrew is moitza aniyas isha ma'amamavas. The Vilna Gaon says, look at the tenses. Matzah isha matzah tov is in the past. If you found a woman, you found good. Motzei is present. Moitza aniyas isha ma'amamavas. The person finds constantly that the woman is more bitter than death. Says the Gaon, the way of humanity is if you have something good, you have a good wife, okay, have a good wife, and then you get used to it. You get used to it. So it's matzah isha matzah tov. You found it, okay, she's good, and then you take it for granted. But if a person has a tzara, a wife that's nagging him and harassing him, that's moitze aniyas isha ma'amamavas. That's an ever-present tzara that he never stops thinking about. What the Gaon is developing over here is that when we have something good, we should always realize the good. And the way to do that is to think, what would be if I didn't have this? God forbid. You know, that it's really what the Chovos HaLevavos teaches us. Dvarim sheroitza lahasmid, things that you want to continue, al tiftapa. Don't take them for granted. So don't take for granted, or like Reb Noach Weinberg said, if you're not going to appreciate what you have, you'll never appreciate what you're going to get, because you'll get used to that too. So we have to learn. We have to learn to appreciate what we have. And that it shouldn't be matzah isha matzah tov. That, okay, I got a good wife. Okay, well, okay, good. That's the way it's supposed to be. No, to really appreciate it all the time and to give haidah all the time. Now I want to share with you a Baal Shem Tov. This Baal Shem Tov is really, wow. Vayigarish es ha'adam, so man was driven out of Gan Eden because of his sin. Vayishkain mikedem leGan Eden, and he was settled to the east of Gan Eden. So the Baal Shem Tov says, what does it actually mean that he was driven out of Gan Eden? So the Baal Shem Tov points us in the direction of the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel. The Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says, Vayigaresh es ha'adam, Vayigaresh es ha'adam, the Targum translates, Torid Yosei, which the Baal Shem Tov means, he made him a Torid. He made him busy. He gave him a klala of kites v'darder tatzmiach lo. There's going to be thorns. There's going to be thistles. And now, b'zeyes apecha toichalochem, it's going to be by the sweat of your brow, by backbreaking labor, that you're going to make just your livelihood to exist. When a person is torrid, then when a person is torrid, I just want to make sure that the plug is in. When a person is a torrid, then let's just see what's going on over here. This is good. Is this good? Oh, looks good. Okay. When a person is a torrid, they're not in Gan Eden. The way he drove him out of Gan Eden was to make him busy. So the Baal Shem Tov therefore says, but that's during the week. On Shabbos, where Chafatzecha Asurim, where we don't engage in our regular pursuits, and actually it says, Sheishes Yomim Tabed Vasisa Kol Malachtecha, and Rashi says you should make it as if everything is finished, even though it's not. You still have unanswered emails and clients that are clamoring, but you should make it like everything is taken care of, then that's Mein Olam Haba. And therefore, when a person dedicates themselves to learning, when they're learning, they're in Olam Haba. They're not torrid with this world. Like it says that Hashem separated the light, the Or HaGanos, for the tzaddikim. Where did he put it? Where did he hide it? So the Baal Turim says, V'yar Elokim Esa Or. Esa Or is exactly B'gematria Bat Torah. He put the light in the Torah. The Rishon are not going to the Torah. But when a person is V'yar Elokim Esa Or Ki Toiv, the Or HaGanos is Toiv, Ein Toiv El Torah, Shenema Kilekach Toiv Nasati Lachem. When a person is in that, they're in Gan Eden. Gan Eden in this world. They're in Gan Eden in this world. They're in Gan Eden in this world, and they don't have tears. Now, how do you put yourself in Gan Eden? We're so busy. Zayis Torah Adam Ki Yamas Ba'ayil. When a person is learning Torah, they should feel as if they were dead. If they were dead, they wouldn't have any problems. They wouldn't be able to attend to things. When you're learning Torah, you're dead to this world. Vayisha Hashem el Hevel ve'el Minchasai, and Hashem turned to Hevel and to his Mincha, ve'el Kayin ve'el Minchasai lo Isha. But he didn't turn to Kayin and his Mincha. The Chassam Sofer says, in the beginning of the Torah wants to show us that Mishpatecha Ta'im Rabbah, Hashem's judgment is very deep. That's why we can't ask questions. Here, Hevel is the righteous one. Hashem sends down a fire and shows his divine approval, the seal of happiness to Hevel, and he's not pleased with Cain. What happens to Hevel? He's murdered as a young man. He's left with no descendants, and Cain has thousands of descendants. So everybody says, where's the fairness? Less din, but less dayan. There doesn't seem to be any fairness here. So we have to know, Rabbi Sayan, listen carefully. Listen to this carefully. What the Chassam Sofer says. Cain had a family. In 1,500 years, they were all wiped out by the Mabul. Nothing left. Hevel, after 130 years, says the Chassam Sofer, he came back as a Gilgal with Shais. That's what the Chassam Sofer says. And then Shais was a Gilgal, came back as a Gilgal with Noach, and Noach came back as a Gilgal of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's Hevel. And he says that's alluded to in Neshama. Neshama is Hevel, Shais, Noach, and Moshe. So what looked like in Hevel and Cain in the beginning, that Hevel got shortchanged, and Cain, the one that was the wicked one and the murderer, he had a whole lifetime with dynasties and children. Really, Cain got wiped out. Nothing left in the flood except for Nama. But Hevel was Nisgalgal and Shais, built the world, then in Noach, and then in Moshe. So he had Neshama. It's not, everything is not what meets the eye. You know, here in the terrible tragedies that we've been seeing, we saw that over 240 people were killed by the rave concert. Now it's an atrocity. It's horrifying. But also we have to realize that those 240 people that were doing it on Shabbos and Simchas Torah now died because they were Jewish. And according to the Rambam, they're considered Kedoshim. And they go to Gan Eden. Of course, course, we're not asking for that to happen. But there's a different way of looking at things. And that's why Rav Chaim said, when it comes to something like Levi Kletzky, we have to look at Toras HaGilgul. Otherwise, we can't understand a pure Jewish child being mutilated that way. Now I want to share with you something from Rav Meir Premishlan. It's an amazing thing. You know, it says, Veilecha teshukasei, v'hu yimshel bach. Hashem told Cain, Lepesach chatas reivetz. By your doorway, sin crouches. That's the Yetzer Hara. If you let him in, you open the door for him, he's going to come and attack. If you give him a Pesach. So the simple meaning of the pasuk is Veilecha teshukasei, and against you is his desire, his ambition, like the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh says, Ki tzetzei l'milchama al oivecha. Oivecha, the oyev ha'amiti shel adam, is the Yetzer Hara. So Veilecha teshukasei, his periscope is on you, but v'hu yimshel bach. But you could conquer him, because Hashem doesn't give anybody a challenge that he can't take. That's why we're allowed to take Yefas Toyer at battle, because that's a challenge we wouldn't be able to handle. So therefore Hashem makes it permitted. But if Hashem gives us a challenge, he has designs on you, but you're able to conquer it. You should know it's within your power to overcome any temptation that comes in our way. However, Rav Meir Premishlan learns such an amazing pshat over here. Rav Meir Premishlan says, Veilecha teshukasei means the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is a malach. The Yetzer Hara mission is to tempt you that you should get reward for conquering him, and that the reward that we get shouldn't be nama kisufa, it shouldn't be bread of shame, it shouldn't be undeserved. But Veilecha teshukasei v'hu yimshel bach. His desire is that you should conquer him. That's what Rav Meir Premishlan says. Veilecha teshukasei, unto you is his hope that v'hu yimshel bach, that you will conquer him. And the idea is that we could become mischaber with the Yetzer Hara. We could join ranks with the Yetzer Hara. The idea of v'hu yimshel bach is that he wants us to conquer him. And that's why it says, B'chol levavcha, we should serve Hashem with b'shtei yitzrecha, with the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. We're supposed to unite with the Yetzer Hara. For example, Yetzer Hara gives us a competitive spirit. A competitive spirit could cause machlokes. It could cause jealousy, but could also want us to succeed more in our learning. Daven better, give more charity like somebody else. So we have to unite with the Yetzer Hara. That's what it says. The Hasidim learn. It says, Hashem says, Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tavlala. I created the Yetzer Hara, I created Torah as the antidote. So the pashtus is that the Torah helps fight the nemesis, the Yetzer Hara, which the Torah protects us from the Yetzer Hara. But the Hasidim say, Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tavlala. I made Torah the spice to spice up the Yetzer Hara. And that's what we're saying. We could unite with the Yetzer Hara. And the Yetzer Hara gives us a taiva for a certain food, and we save it for Shabbos. And then we enjoy it on Shabbos. So we're uniting with the Yetzer Hara. And it's such a gevaldige pshat. Veilecha teshukasei. Unto you is the Yetzer Hara's chuka, that v'hu yimshel bach, that you should beat him. Because he's also Malach Hashem. He also wants that Hashem should be happy and Neratzin Hashem. Again, I want to thank the Rubin family. I want to also say that I have put a lot of shiurim on YouTube. I had put a bunch of Bereishis shiurim on YouTube. These remarks that I said before Tillim for Eretz Yisrael. You could check my YouTube channel. Also, we're looking for sponsors. new sponsors. The same people are sponsoring new sponsors for my Chumash share next week for Noach, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you for joining. Thank you to the Rubin family, and have a wonderful Shabbos.